Hi, we're at the Whistler Film Festival with the Soska sisters, who premiered the Late Night Terror Fest series with their amazing movie American Mary. And I've been spending time with these two crazy ladies, and they're extraordinary. I wish there were more Canadian filmmakers who went out and sold their movies and branded themselves this way. But I have to ask you, the first question is, how did you become the Twisted Twins?
There was actually a little bit of a fight between the two of us because we were torn between the Soska sisters or the Twisted Twins. It was going to be alliteration regardless because we're big comic book fans. Peter Parker, Matt Murdock, all the nerds that are watching this are totally falling in love right now. But we decided the Twisted Twins because our films, even if we do a Disney movie one day, it will be twisted.
And I think the personality was always there, except we never fit into anything. We wanted to be the characters we saw in movies and comic books and video games. We learned martial arts. We started dressing like we should be fighting crime. We have the weird kind of personalities. We're a little bit obsessed with horror movies, as you might be able to tell. And then when we walked ass backwards into directing, all of a sudden it was like, oh, it makes sense. The Twisted Twins.
Now, you know, the boys at the midnight shows I've been at adore you two. And yet
we pay them well.
I've heard, no, they genuinely adore you. You come out in your fetish clothes. You're their kind of fantasy girls. There's no doubt about that. But you've mentioned in some interviews that you were kind of nerdy when you were growing up.
We are still very nerdy. We try to emulate the superheroines that we admired growing up, so Catwoman or any of the X-Men. So these are kind of like our war armor, and this is our war paint when we put it on. We are absolutely just as nerdy now with comic books, and we don't get much time to play video games these days, but when we do, it's a total passion fest.
And if you'd believe it, we always wore really weird stuff, and it wasn't cool. Like, I used to have, like, a pleather snakeskin bodysuit in high school. I wasn't cool, but now all of a sudden they're like, that works. And Enigma Arcana, who did all of the costumes for American Mary, she designs our stuff. So if you see some hot fetish wear that we're in, guess who designed it?
That didn't work in high school. I'd have been all over you.
You know what? I was always saying, we're identical twins that dress like superheroes. One of these days, that's going to click and someone's going to like it. It took 29 years, but hey, better late than never, right?
It's funny, the rose-tinted history that people say, like, oh, we went to high school together. And it's like, I had one friend, and I'm looking at her right now in high school.
So you two were social outcasts?
We were the drama nerds. We wanted to be actors before we knew better and then decided to be directors. I remember in high school, we were the first ones to win the Co-Best Director Award in grade 12. And we're so disappointed because we didn't get anything for acting. And now I think that was kind of, foreshadowing.
So how did you suddenly develop an interest in directing?
It was actually walking into it backwards without actually intending to do it. We were in film school, and they cut the funding for our final project, and Grindhouse was in the theaters at the time. We're like, and after seeing Hobo with a Shotgun, Jen goes, dead hooker in a trunk. And I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, we're going to make a short film. We're going to take everything from that film school that messed around with us, and we're going to put everything that was too inappropriate to be in there. We're going to write, direct, produce, star in, and do all the stunt work for it, and we are going to piss everybody off.
Yeah, it was the most politically incorrect first film I'd ever seen.
Thank you. We tried to have a little bit.
You succeeded.
Back in the day, we were big fans of classic Saturday Night Live, and they just offended everyone. And now it seems like you try not to offend anybody. So we want to bring back offending everybody so no one feels left out.
In your favor, I must say, even though American Mary has much better production values than that.
Yeah, a little bit.
No.
I'm not sure you've gone mainstream yet.
No. The next film, they're like, oh, that one people can probably watch, but then we describe what it's about. They're like, do you have any normal films you'd like to do? I'm like, that is normal. That's a buddy comedy. American Mary's a romantic comedy. And Dead Hooker was a road trip movie, a chick flick.
The next one, Bob, when people are saying that American Mary is controversial and risque, it's like, no, that's you haven't seen anything yet. We've already been asked, our main question in our meeting so far is, what is the monster going to look like, and how are you going to shoot these scenes without getting an NC-17 rating?
Well, who cares about the rating?
I don't care about the rating.
We're trying to bring back X, maybe, like Midnight Cowboy, where people are like, That's the rating. See it if you want.
Do you think you could get an R for American Mary?
I think that... no.